you what is going on, you dead set legends. Oh, shit. Jesus, that looked mega. Welcome to the Ready Bang, the number one arm wrestling interactive podcast in the world. I'm your host, the Aussie Arm Wrestler, and I'll tell you what, look at the guest that we have today. Continues to impress us time after time again. He broke the internet with his insane performance at East versus West. This guy is an international megastar, even with his Linn Diesel look. We absolutely love him. I call him Lindiana Jones. You know him. Quite possibly as Captain America, Paul Linn. Paul, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Jake. It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love when you come on, man. We're teasing people to see if you were robbed. And, of course, we're going to go through that matchup at the moment. But you're back on home soil. Mate, how are you feeling?
Good. Just a little soreness in the pec, a little bit of bruising. Other than that, the arm, the elbow, the biceps, it's all good.
Mate, it was just all puns aside, it was a brilliant performance. Besides Zurab Tadvariti, you're becoming like one of the MVPs of East versus West. You're really becoming known of it. What's it like? What's it like coming home back? It's more. I'm really interested. You go over there. You're this genuine rock star. Once again, another incredible performance, win, lose, or draw. I mean, your sportsmanship's second to none. What's it like to then just come home and it's back to normal life? Like it's not the NFL where you're in the off season and you're off partying and gallivanting. It's like back home and back to business.
Yeah, it's a relief. You know what I mean? Those 4 or 5 days over there are pretty strenuous, especially when you're making a weight cut. So you spend all your time regimented and doing all this cool stuff that's sometimes taxing, like signing things and photos and all that fun stuff. But it takes a toll. So and then you go and you compete and you have the big emotional dump, and then you get on the plane the next day. So
the big emotional dump. I may as well ask you, who were you talking to when you said, "Tell me what I can't do"?
Maybe myself mainly.
Really?
I think we all battle self-doubt. And I think primarily probably myself, constantly criticizing myself, wondering if I'm on the level that some people might think I'm on and others might not think I'm close to. So there's a combination of that. And then, when you're in the underdog role all the time and people tell you you're going to get swept and you got shutout states and all that stuff, like every single time, sometimes things just spill over a little bit.
Well, I'm glad you brought all that up because we're going to get to that in a moment, but we'll just say hi to people in the chat. We've got Sarah Lightning Latona, who's currently in a Ms. Fitness competition. If you can go to her Facebook page and go and vote for her. Sup, dog is in the chat. Keithy Thomas, evening, great to join you. Thank you, mate. We're here with the one and only Paul Linn. Ready, chitty bang bang from the Drew 24. Kayla Williams with the super chat. He says, regardless of how polite Paul is, I want to start the show off by saying I'll watch Paul Linn hold a pin for 10 seconds straight with the refs smirking at each other. That's straight bias towards the East. Now, just bite your tongue a little bit, Paul. We'll get to that in the moment because I want to give everyone like a lead up and a little bit of behind the scenes of what happens at East versus West and what a professional athlete goes through and the timing of the pins and things like that, because sometimes there can be a bit of mayonnaise added to these ones. Muscle Bike and ECEC are in the house. They're very happy that Paul Linn is here. Tony Farina, ready, bang. Rob's in there. Awesome job, Paul. You almost had it. Lucha Pagliacci's in here. He says, ready, bang. Here for the Linsanity. Or punter. Sarah thinks you're a genuine man. He's a great representative for America. Yeah, I want to talk about the pressures and things like that as well. I'll just say hi to a few more people, as many as we can, but we are here to talk to Paul. He's given us his time. He is very, very busy. Phil Woody, in Paul we trust. Mr. 8 Seconds, just could be your new nickname. A little bit later on. Ready Bang, Jeremiah. Thank you, everyone that is joining in. So, and I do apologize, guys. Get your comments in, get your questions a little bit later on. Joe Fern just gives a fuck. Yeah, in there. So, how long's the flight and how much did you have to weight cut?
It's about, if you want to look start to finish, like when you leave and when you get there, it's probably about 18 hours of commitment, maybe 17. Meaning drive to and then wait in the airport and then get on the plane, which is about 9.5 hours, and then drive an hour from the airport to the venue. So it's a long day. And the plane is really, really tricky, especially when you're doing a weight cut, because I have not yet been able to get on and off that plane without gaining 2 pounds. And it's amazing to me because I eat almost nothing. It just happens. I don't know.
Would that be swelling as well? Do you like swell up on the plane or?
I'm thinking water retention, and then being in the mid water cycle, you can't get enough water in to keep the cycle going. So it's tricky. I know Brandon suffered from that big time, which put him kind of behind on his weight cut and made it really difficult. So I come down, like the beginning of my cut is usually around 220, 225, somewhere in between there, depending on what my water intake is. And then I come down to 209. So it's nothing crazy.
And how long does that take you to cut that down?
I mean, I'll start eating clean about a month out, and then I'll go no carbs for 2 weeks. I'll take about 5 pounds off, and then the rest is a water load. This time I really didn't have to cut anything in the sauna or the bathtub. Maybe like I sat in the bathtub for like 20 minutes and lost a pound. And then I woke up like 2 pounds under. So it's fairly easy. I think I've got it down to kind of a science now. So it's weird. Like the more you do it, the more comfortable you become with it. And East versus West and understanding the travel now, doing it, 4 times or whatever, it's become kind of a comfort zone for me.
Well, yeah, that was going to be my next thing. What would be like the advice, because you've been there one of the most times out of everyone, especially the West team? What would be the advice that you'll give them? Because it just like weight cutting, for those that have done it, it's just shit. Like I don't know anyone that enjoys weight cut. And if you enjoy weight cut, well then you're a liar and check yourself into a psychiatric ward. No relation, by the way. It's just ridiculous. So what would you be telling like a Brandon who made his debut, or Adam who's made his second time there?
Well, Adam doesn't really have weight to cut unless he wants to go to 85. So he does. I mean, he's got it. He's cool. He's sitting at like 215, go to 209. I mean, that's skip a couple meals and drink some water. But Brandon coming from like 225 all the way down to 187 is a little bit more tricky. So, I mean, honestly, my advice is square your stuff up before you get there. Like your plan has to be set out and you can't deviate from it. You can't have a cheat day. All that stuff's out the window. Your professional mode, you set it, you do it, you live by it, and you trust the process. If you deviate from the process, or if you start questioning the process midway through, like I'm not going to get there, you'll break yourself mentally. Yeah. And that we had a little bit of struggle with that with Brandon, but as a group, we kind of helped him through it. He did a majority of his cut in my room in our tub. So we help each other through it. And I think, it's one of the things that we got to look at. And, a majority of them, like there's some Europeans that are cutting weight, but we're cutting weight. I mean, and let's be real with ourselves. In order for us to be able to compete with the Europeans, we're going to have to come down in weight classes and then and get back to a big. I mean, that's just a reality. We got to find the sweet spot. Where can we win? And that's part of being a professional, in my opinion.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the word professional. Is there much adjustment, Paul? Because back in the day, you would just turn up, get your weight cut, get your diet right, go and pull. But now, when you turn up to one of these big events, it's a spectacle. You were treated like a legit professional athlete, which you are. So it's media day. All content creators are hitting you up to film. You had 250 trading cards to sign. Quite possibly
400
to sign. Were there T-shirts this time?
150, I believe, and then posters.
So it's not.
It's
so you have to now.
Yeah, it's 4 or 5 hours to get that stuff done.
Yeah. How mentally taxing is all that?
Oh, I mean, honestly, that's the trickiest part. You're trying to balance all these things, and then you got certain, like, when you got to be places. For me, I'm all about distractions, like when I'm uncomfortable. So I'm okay with it. Like, I'll go there and do that and chop it up and talk trash with Devin, and it's cool, and I'll keep my mind off of it. Now, if I was making a deeper cut, let's say to like 195 or 198, I might not be in as happy of a place, But, yeah, no, I like the distractions. I try and keep myself busy. The biggest challenge is sleeping. 100%. I might have slept. I would guess I slept about a total of 8 hours when I was over there. So that is a factor, 100%. Like when you look at like performance, and I just haven't found a way around it. Melatonin doesn't do anything for me, really. I try it, but like it's
what
tough.
about chloroform? Have you tried chloroform?
No, I have not.
Just get toxic and breathe it in. I've seen it in the movies.
I thought you were talking about that, whatever was supposed to treat COVID.
Oh.
Yeah,
after signing 400 cards, did you ring your mum and dad and just say, hey, thank you for having a very short last name and thank you for just naming me Paul? Because if you're Kidagali Ongabayev, you're there for about 3 days signing all the cards.
Well, I mean, you've seen the cards before, right? Haven't you? Like, these guys aren't signing nothing. They're making scribbles and they're doing their initials. I actually signed my name. So I'm like, I try to do a legit signature. Everybody else is doing like their first, like, here, I'll give you one. There should be one right here. I'll tell you, these guys get away easy. Yeah, here's Ongabayev, scribble. Where's it at? This is a little scribble scratch. Hold on, let me find a good one. Look, Daniel Prokopchuk. What is that? That was like a Captain America symbol. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Rob
I feel like it can save insurance.
Rob has it easy. RVJ. Like,
that's okay though. That's okay though, because that's what he's called.
Look at that, BE,
Oh, that's
like,
lazy.
When you're facing all that, you're not right. You're not signing them well. I try my best to do it.
Mate,
I sign my name on each one of them. I give it the old college try, but
try being your name Aussie arm wrestler.
Yeah. I can't even write that in cursive.
but it would play a toll there, because in arm wrestling we're not that used to all this. Like,
no,
I've been talking about trading cards for almost 12 months now. I've now got a designer and company on board. We're releasing our first trading cards. King of the Table have done it. East versus West have done it. So now it's a matter now of, do you get there earlier? Is it put in your contracts? And then when you get there, like, you're way too nice. So any sort of YouTube content creator will come up. You'll be like, yeah, I'll give you 15 minutes. Yeah, no worries. You're a bit too nice. But when does it become a hindrance more than helping the sport? When do you think that limit is? Because anytime an event comes up, another 50 YouTube channels have popped up. So when does it become a problem?
Probably before the event. Like, I expect that when I'm there and we have enough downtime that I'm not all over the place. It's more like guys like you that are like before and after and saying like, where you at after dinner? Nah, I'm playing.
I messaged you after round 1 and said, Paul, do a live with me now. Tell me how you're feeling after round 1.
I'm playing. I don't mind it, Jake, man. Like, I got my own YouTube, and Pradeep's always on me. He's like, you are the laziest person ever when it comes to doing anything for yourself. and that might be it. I'm going the Bob Hope route. You know what I mean? Whoever needs something from me, I'll do it. I don't mind doing it. But when I got to do it myself, like, and I got to get on there and I'm going to do a live and I'm just going to talk like in a monologue, I'm like, no, this is weird and I don't want to do it. So if I can get on with somebody else, I'm totally cool with that. I don't mind it. You know, I get hit up, you know, depending on who's there, you know, before and after interviews. I don't mind that stuff because that stuff doesn't bother me. Like being able to like kind of talk on the fly, it never bothered me really. So yeah. I don't mind doing it. If it's 15 minutes here or there, not a problem.
Are there any athletes? Because I've experienced it at King of the Table. Are there any athletes that politely decline and they're just like, oh, got to do media day, got to do this, like in a respectful way? We're not throwing anyone under the bus here. So like I've told the story of John Brzezinski, he said, yeah, we'll do an interview. I'm going with Ray first, and I interviewed Erdemes. Now, I went for 15 minutes. Ray went for an hour because when I was finished, I'm mindful of people's time. So when Erdemes was finished, he went over and joined Ray. And so when John was done, John was like, hey, are we doing this, Jake? And I was like, man, you look tired. You look over. He goes, yeah, I don't want to talk about arm wrestling. Let's do it after the event. I'm like, yep, no worries. And it wasn't anything bad of John. I was just wondering if anyone at East versus West was just like, maybe later.
I mean, there's certain guys that don't interact much. Like Dave Chafee pretty much stays to himself. Always brings his wife and kid. They do kind of their own thing. You don't really see him until like maybe like the group dinner and then, you know, the mandatory stuff. The Georgians are notorious for being late for everything. So Anna Grandin is always like, I am always going to put it. She'll be like, look, I schedule it early. Like I know you're going to be there on time, but we are doing this for a reason. So I guess they're a little more nonchalant with things. But so I'm assuming they're, you know, I think that it's a little bit tougher to get content from some of the Europeans because of translation issue. It's nice to have Artem and SG Records, Roman and them guys there. So yeah, I mean, honestly, I think most people are totally good with it.
I love Roman, but I'm going to start calling him 10% from now on because when he does his translations, I reckon he's chucking in a bit of 10% of his own.
I love it. Yeah, we were talking about it like you know, he's translating for David. David grunts 3 times and then he says 10 sentences. And you know, like, well, but guess what? I'd rather hear those 10 sentences than whatever he said, probably. So
yeah, absolutely. You come from a team sport. You coach football. We've been through it before. You've played professional football, whether it's in America or abroad. So Team East versus Team West is straight up your alley. That's, you know what I mean? That's something you get behind the troops. You all get in a huddle. When you start seeing your compadres fall one by one, are you taking notice of that? Do you feel any extra pressure? Because if I was picking anyone, I would say you're captain of Team West. If I were to pick anyone, you are really pushing the team lifestyle, the team theme. And because I know you come from another sport, you get it. But do you start feeling pressure? Brandon's fallen, RVJ's fallen, Adam's fallen.
Yeah, that's the whole question there is tricky. So first and foremost, in order for us to be competitive, we have to have that, I believe. I've seen it do wonders in matches. Like I've seen, you know, John and the Zurav match, the Oleg Pachenko match, everybody rally. The energy goes up. And I'm a believer in the intangibles. Like I really believe it. Like your body can do so much, right? It can only do so much. Your plan that you have in place can do only so much. If the intangibles and the energy weren't a real thing, there would be no such thing as home field advantage. There would be none. There is a way to reach another level in competition through energy and what's around you and support and motivation and all that good stuff. So I think in order for us to level the playing field, we have to have that advantage. Like we all know each other in one facet or the other. But these guys coming from different countries now, obviously Georgia and Kazakhstan, they bring a whole team, so they're in good. Those guys are in good hands. But the team as a whole is not like, we have to have that advantage. So for me, I personally I love team sports and I love the energy. I love the competition energy. I love I in football talk about football fight sports and stuff. You talk about the idea of like the presence of death, like the idea of where we're walking a razor thin thing here, where there's injury, there's danger, it's an adrenaline rush. So I can't, Angin's always on me, like, you got to stop doing all you're doing. You're doing too much before your match, and then blah, blah, blah. Stop rubbing everybody's arm, stop cornering everybody, stop hovering around the stage. But for me, I'm feeding off of it. I try to tell them, like, I'm feeding off of it.
Yeah.
Like, that's getting my mind where it needs to be. So coming back to what you're saying about people losing ahead of time, yes, that is tough, right? So I believe that, great competitors are going to be at their best when their back's against the wall or the chips are down. So if it's the fourth quarter and you're down 2 scores and you have 6 minutes to go, some people are quitting and some people are elevating. So depending on how you look at it, you can take it as pressure, or you can just take it as, now's the time to kick it into gear. And I want to be in this moment,
Yeah.
Even if I lose, even if I fail, I want this moment, because you only get so many of those moments. You can't manufacture those moments. They happen, and they're outside of your control. So when you're in one, like, live it to the fullest. And as a player in football, man, my best games came in losses, when it's like, we got to turn up, like, and that's, when you talk about like getting in the zone, like some people get in the zone, they get on fire when it's a landslide. Other people get in the zone.
We call them front runners. We hate those people. We call them front runners in Australia. When your team's like 10 goals up, or 30 points up in football where you are, and then suddenly these people go, we just call them front runners. But mate, all the stuff I remember from my basketball career, those tight games, when I look at my team and they're tired, and I'm like, right, let's go, get on these shoulders. We're winning this game, and then suddenly
you're either the guy who says, give me the ball, or I'm going to make a play, or you're the guy who's already punched out. So it's really your choice. So like, I don't like the weight of those losses, and like, we opened up, like, I look at the last East versus West that I was at, and Doug opened up with a 3-0 over Ray. Like, my energy went through the roof. You know what I mean? It was awesome. And John even talks about it too. Like, John will say, like, he's mentioned to me prior, he's like, you're a couple matches before me. Give me some good energy. I'll go out there and get a win and spike my, you know what I mean? Like, so everybody really does think about it, So it's real. But yeah, when you rattle off a bunch of losses like that, and then you're up, you gotta kind of manufacture it yourself, for sure.
Yeah, brilliant. No, and because I love the team aspect thing, but when I do watch East versus West, I do feel for athletes like yourself, because I look at the East team, and unless they come from the same country, it's not really there. They're all just looking after their buddies. They're just turning up, doing the bare minimum. When I say the bare minimum, like promotion and things like that, and I might share a few things on Instagram, and there's just no team aspect. But then, because when you throughout the press conference, you always hear the West saying collectively, but the East talking about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel bad when Paul's like, Team West, Team West, Team West. And then like David will go, I'm going to beat you. It's like, get involved. Get involved. But we'll get to some comments, guys, and we'll get to some questions a little bit later on. But, it's just nothing but love here for you, Paul. Alexander Starkey. Love you, Paul. Warren Raber. Ready, bang. Joe Fern.
Team Leaf alone. Let's go.
Yeah, Warren's a good dude. A good dude. Rick Chains wasn't too happy with the reffing. We're going to get to the match right now. We're going to talk about it. Love seeing you up there on stage supporting everyone Devin was in your corner too during the match, says Jake Ransom. Warren Raber says Team Lethal Arms.
My man.
Ready to call.
My man.
Ready to call.
Let's go.
It is there. Well, Brad says, the East are from different countries. That is true, Brad. So is Devin and Paul. They're all under the one banner. They're there, East versus West. So they're representing East. It's like like the All-Star game. I'm representing Team West.
Jake, you know what was cool?
East.
You know what was cool? We're going in to go sign the cards and everything, right? And because somehow the guys from the West show up one time, we go to sign the cards, and it's like Adam, Brandon, myself, Doug, Devin, and Dave. We're all in there. No Europeans at all. Cody was in there. No Europeans. We're on time. And Devin comes in, and he's like, all he's doing is talking about the team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like, I cannot wait for this team to have success. Now, obviously, we didn't. But, like, when you hear this guy who's on top of arm wrestling as a whole, literally kind of adhering to, like the idea of, like, this is the team, these are the guys in the room right now, that stuff's pretty cool to me. Because I know people who left other team sports because they didn't like the team aspect and relying on other people and all that good stuff to go do an individual sport, arm wrestling, because it's just them and they got to worry about themselves only. So some people are jaded by team sports, and then other people, I think, really adhere to them. And to hear Devin talk about it like that, I'm like, yeah, I'm where I want to be right now,
Yeah. And then he went out and jinxed you, and the West didn't get a pin, so that's okay. We'll just blame Devin. God protect the White Hawks, says Joe Fern. Thank you very much for your super chat. Now we're going to talk about, while everyone is here, the match. Paul Linn versus Sasha Andreev. 98 blower says it's North America versus the world. Sadly, but that's all right. We'll work it out. We'll geographically get it right, and we'll find something, but we'll get to that a little bit later on. Coach Ray, the cat burglar's in the chat. Didn't he look like a cat burglar? That's what during my commentary of it, Paul, when I first saw Ray on stage, I was there like, Coach Ray looks like a cat burglar. I thought he was going to come up.
Well, that's like, the pun is great with all Ray's cats' buttholes in the fix and everything. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, it looked like a cat burglar. Paul was robbed and Gennady stole the show. I know. I'm a cat burglar. Meow. It is hilarious. So Paul Linn versus Sasha Andreev for the title. It was there. And it got off to a brilliant start. Before we get to the timings of the pins, can you let everyone know what's it like to absolutely smash a world-class athlete like Sasha Andreev?
Well,
what does that energy feel?
First off, I did not absolutely smash him. The first round was really tough. I had an elbow foul that probably saved me and got me a restart and a better initiation.
You smashed him, Paul.
And then you love to talk about the shit and dog thing where I'm redlining. I would encourage you to go back and look at that from the vertical camera, because that was the worst that it ever has been.
That was, and I called it.
My right leg was in full seizure mode.
Absolutely, and I said it during the live. Said shaking like a shitting dog. Absolutely, but you were redlining. It was great, but to pin. Okay, let's call it a pin. What's it like to pin? Because not many people on the planet have pinned Sasha Andreev. And you did it twice.
Well,
What's that feel like?
So, like, mentally coming into the match, like I said, you're like, well, why'd you say what you said? And here I am preparing for this match, right? So I do all the things that an athlete's supposed to do, right? I visualize success. I prepare for success. I do all the good things. I envision pinning, all those great things. But in the back of my head, is there doubt? Absolutely. Like, we're all insecure. We all have our own insecurities. You can use them to fuel you, or they'll hinder you one way or another. But in the back of my head, I don't know if I can pin Sasha. I don't know if my training has allowed me to have side pressure enough to be able to even get on the A side. So the minute the arm moved, I'm already blacked out, And then, when we finally get the pin called, Yeah, huge emotional dump. So like it's just a release, you know. And at that point, like people were like, "Well, did you go too hard afterwards? You expend too much energy with the emotion?" No, I don't think so. Like I don't have I really don't have a problem with that type of stuff. Like that was just a release. At that point, I don't want to sit in a chair and relax. I want to ride the energy, you know.
Yeah.
Because at that point, the match is clearly in the balance. It's not like I'm going to go off to a 3-0 now and I just gained so much confidence. I didn't come off that first round with a whole bunch of confidence, but I came off the round with a whole bunch of energy, you know?
Yeah.
So adrenaline's high. Let me ride it, you know? So
yeah, different strokes for different folks, you know, when, and some athletes, yeah, I would suggest, hey, when you get a pin, just chill out. But knowing your sporting background, yeah, we feed off that. We feed off the come on, get around me, like you went over and you're high fiving the rest of the team, and yeah. So when I was watching that, I was like, oh yeah, Paul is bubbling. Here we go. It was brilliant. Now, everyone, thank you, Joe Fern. Says Aussie. Thank you very much for the super chat. Round 1 and round 2. Round 1 was 3 seconds on the pin line. Round 2 was 5 seconds. Now I'm going to ask the question, Pauline, do you feel you were robbed?
No, not at all. No, are you kidding me? Like I've heard this now, like on a couple different podcasts, broken down so many different ways, you know, as to like, where are you expending more? You know, is the guy holding expending? No, I mean, we're talking about 8 seconds in a match that took like 26 minutes from start to finish. Like that, that to me is not a bearing. Was I frustrated in the moment? Yeah, just because it's annoying. Like not because I was breaking myself, but because I'm like, what are we doing? Let's just call it. And especially because, you know, coming off the first round, I had the bad side of the strap, and I was very much hoping to get the same start and the same setup, and knowing that I'm going to have an added bit of pronation in that hook in the strap. So at that point, I was pretty confident that like if I blast off right now in round 2, I should be able to get a little deeper on my pin, and I did. But I think it really just comes down to the ref's perspective. And first and foremost, reffing is the most impossible and thankless, miserable job on planet Earth. And I have been called upon to do it for local tournaments now. And I mean, like, my wife's like, when I'm getting ready to go and drive 3-4 hours to go do it, and I'm miserable. I'm more miserable for that than cutting weight, because I know it's impossible.
Wow.
It's impossible. You cannot ever come out of a tournament unscathed without somebody saying something crazy to you, or you knowing you made a mistake and not being able to go back in time. So it's impossible. I have no criticism for the reffing in my match. I was more vocal, you know, so I probably garnered a little bit more attention, but I had to have the strap set right. Like I couldn't have a weird strap like the first round. Put the strap like on my hand, like by my knuckles. I'm like, I can't. I'm not arm wrestling like that. Are you kidding me? Put it back. Like I'll take a foul. Put it on right.
I think it garner more attention. I think just because everyone loves you. I mean, you very rarely hear someone say, "Oh, I'm sick of Paul Linn," or "I hate Paul Linn." I think that's why it's all blown up, because like everyone can go, "Oh, you know what, Devin Gennady, blah 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 blah." But I think everyone's like, "No, you don't hurt the nicest man on the planet. We treasure him and we protect him at all costs." So I think that's why people come in. Do you think at all, it might sound like a silly question, but especially round 2, I think round 2 was the one that went for 5 seconds, almost 6 seconds. Do you think that would have made any difference at all? Or do you think Sasho somehow found a lane? If you had
I can break the whole thing down. I can break the whole thing down from my perspective. I can tell you where I made mistakes. Round 1 and round 2 were plan A, and I never got to plan B. I might have should have went to plan B at one point in these things, but I felt a lane, and I know in my mind, if it ain't broke, I'm not fixing. What happened in the third round? So like my pec tweaked a little bit early on, but it wasn't to the point where like I can't pull, like, you know what I mean? So like, and plus I was in the mind state of like, you know, just tear it. Let's just tear it. Who cares? You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to redline it no matter what. So I don't think that took anything away from me unless it was subconscious. But in round 3, I went back to the bad side, and Sasha adjusted. He tucked his elbow about an inch. He started adding a little bit of back pressure in the load. And on the go, he took center this way. My timing was off a little bit in round 3, and I chose to fight too long. You know, in hindsight, I should have laid the match down or elbow foul, you know, and taken advantage of the East versus West rules, got a restart, or, you know, maybe taken 2 fouls and just gotten to the good side. Had I conserved 50% of the energy that I spent on round 3, the pin in round 4 was right at the line too. I think I would have had enough to finish. So I think that's really where I made my mistake. Plus, Sasha did a great job of tucking that elbow and adding a little bit of back pressure and rotation. And that blew my hand up. Me fighting his hand in that center table or negative position was my biggest mistake.
There you go. There you go. So that's coming straight from Paul Linn as he sits there. Tell me I can't do something from Philippines 4:13. Apologies if I've pronounced that wrong. I haven't read the Bible there. You've got a religious tattoo, haven't you?
Philippians 4:13.
Philippians, sorry. Philippians.
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Yes, sir.
Because you got a tattoo of it, didn't you?
No, not that verse. I got one I go to, Proverbs 21:31. The horse may be prepared for battle, but victory rests with the Lord. It says, I did the work. Now it's up to you.
There you go. I was just spitting it. Loves it. I just say ready bang. Bang. that gets me fired up. That gets me fired up. But I know a lot of people in the chat are very religious, so that would mean a lot. You saying that. Yeah.
Here's another funny one. Travis is like, what is that tattoo on his left arm? And Neil's like, I hope it's not something important. It's Christ's hand.
Oh yeah, because during my during my live, people are like, holy shit, people are they're teasing Paul's religious tattoo, and I was like, oh no, but then I'm thinking,
I sent it to Travis right away. I was like, what kind of?
They clearly didn't know.
To be fair, it's an old tattoo.
Is it? Is it an old tattoo? I need to go back and watch some of your matches. Maybe a shirt was covering it.
I had it since I was 18.
Mate, I watched you on the weekend and went, has Paul got a new tattoo?
No, that thing's damn 30 years old almost.
Man, you must be always wearing. Maybe that's the first time you've pulled in a singlet.
You should have heard.
I really sat there and went, I think Paul just got a new tattoo.
You should have seen when Engen handed out the t-shirts and they didn't have sleeves on them. Like Cody Merritt was like, what? Not wearing them. Dave Chafee was like, I'm putting a t-shirt under it.
Was there any reason behind it, or did Engen want?
I think like a lot of the Europeans will roll their sleeve up. You know, if you look at WAF and stuff, a lot of guys roll their sleeve up to their shoulder. He's probably just, I don't know, maybe aesthetic.
Being biased towards the East, is he? Is that what you're saying, Paul? We've heard it. We've cracked him. Oh no! It was brilliant. It was a great match. Probably match of the night. As if I have a good quick look at the card. You know, that or Georgie Zarenov would probably.
He's a warrior every time he pulls. He
was brilliant. Like even when he got pinned 2-0, I was like, guys, just hold on. This is what he did last time. and he's from Kazakhstan. Just pull your head in. 98 blower. Yes, I knew you were doing that because after Paul's, I think it was his first pin. He was saying, "Tell me I can't do it. Tell me I can't do it." That's why I was asking. Was he actually looking at someone in the crowd when he was saying it early on? But thank you again for your super chat.
I got a bunch of people reaching out to make a T-shirt with that, so I might spin something up here.
Yeah, there you go. Lethal Arms. Go to Paul's YouTube channel. I'm sure people have been dropping the links in there. It was brilliant. A lot of people in the chat were proposing the sleeveless for YouTube attention. I don't know about that.
That's possible.
Yeah, I don't know. Jerry Caderick got too hot in his last match, and he took his shirt off. So maybe
it's air conditioned.
Pauline is the man.
Chuck Bardo.
He's a good guy. I like Chuck.
He's my day one dude. He helped me get started.
Over at Lethal Arms there. Now, you've come in, you've pulled a couple of Monster Factory matches, but you seem very exclusive to East versus West. Has there been any other promotions whipping out some offers? What's next on the cards? You know, where are you hoping to have your next match?
There's always offers. My problem is schedule. And like, you know, once we get into football season, all that good stuff, like, I guess it's tough for me to justify revamping like hard dates and schedules to pull in the United States, you know, or like, and I've said it before, like, our ranking system is crazy over here. It doesn't make any sense. We got one
9 national tournaments. Like, you can be a 9-time national winner in 1 year.
Yeah, none of them are like we used to have 3 and they were legit. Like, it was like, and I think those 3 were like, they would call it the Triple Crown. You win all 3, you're the dude. But now they're not. It's just like we don't really have a single one. So there's a bunch, you know, and we're all trying to do something that level. But yet then you have like these local tournaments that turn out 500 pullers, you know, and then you have the nationals and they got 150. So like it's real warped. And then like the ranking system is messed up. Like, you know, I'm on that In the Hook thing with Chance, and, you know, I like as a consultant, and that one's real simple. You just report the data. If you beat a guy, you move in front of him, everybody drops down. It's real simple. Then you have the other one that's, I think, done out in the West Coast, which I don't even know. Like, I looked at that the other day and they have me at 230. And I'm like, what? I've literally not competed at anything other than 209 for 2 years. Like, and you have a 210 class. So I look at them and I'm like, I don't even want to be on any of these. Like, just take me off. And people will, you know, there'll be guys that want a match because they want a ranking spot or something. And I'm just like, you can have it, man. I can't change my life to go to Arizona or something to pull in a bar when I got stuff I got to do. So like, it's not that I don't want to pull in the United States. Like, I would kill for a mega tournament, like a real one. Like, I don't know if we're ever going to get back to that unless WAL comes back, something with real like clout and hype. And it's not about money for me. It's really about like the clout. And right now, East versus West is giving me an option to do something that I never, Chuck Storm was the last Triple Crown winner. But to do something I never thought I was going to be able to do, which was going to be able to compete internationally against the best in the world, you know, and being that in the United States is kind of seen as not on that level. I mean, like, how can I focus on anything else? Like, I love Monster Factory because I love Michael and Rebecca, you know, and I also think that they have the best promotion in the States. You know, they're on to something really, really cool that could get really, really big. But right now, I'm kind of just building my schedule around East versus West and what Angus wants me to do, because that's where I'm having the most fun. And that's where I have the most motivation. So that's the other thing. Like, if I book an East versus West match and then I got to pull, you know, Monster Factory or another event over here, like 3 or 4 weeks later, I'm going to spend more of my time on diet preparation, peaking for East versus West, and I inevitably won't be able to muster the same level of energy over here because I guess just the percent, like the opportunity and the prestige of being able to pull the Europeans, I hold it that high.
Yeah.
So, and Rob and I were talking about it, like, Rob's still motivated. It's beautiful. I think like he had a very competitive match and he had a very short time to prepare. And I thought he pulled and he fought, and I think he got a taste of like, all right, let's turn it up. So we've been talking about like trying to figure out like a practice schedule. We got a big distance between us, but like where we can prepare as a group, maybe include a couple other guys that are going to come over and let's actually train like the Bulgarians train. Let's train. Let's not practice and egos and all that nonsense. Let's go train, and be training partners. So like that's the thing that you get from East versus West that you're just not getting, in the States sometimes. So I'm not opposed to it. I've been offered some very interesting matches that like if I can fit them in my schedule, I will. But like when I get into football season and I have family stuff and business stuff, I can't move certain things.
Yeah.
And
what's the ideal because of your busy schedule? What's the ideal? Is it two East versus West amongst the factory and say a king of the table? What would be your ideal to get the full Paul Linn arm wrestler and the full Paul Linn football coach with no interruptions? What is your ideal matches per year? Because everyone loves watching you pull. Everyone loves seeing you on the Fix, the We the West podcast. Everyone just loves you. I mean, you joined in when I was bloody doing my NFL draft commentary. Like everyone really enjoys seeing that competitive nature. And then when it's done, like now, I've got hundreds of people messaging me. Of course, Paul Linn was robbed. That was bullshit. And the refs are after him. They were smiling during his complaining, blah, blah, blah. And then you come on and go, look, this is where I made the mistakes, not the referees. You know what I mean? So everyone they just love you. So hey, what's the perfect year for Paul?
I mean, if you look at it from a sheer mathematical standpoint, you got 12 months in a year. In order for you to compete, reset, and then start back into a weight cut and a peaking process, you need probably 2 to 4 weeks of downtime. And then, in my opinion, 8 weeks of a camp. So that allows for 4 events a year. Maybe you can squeeze 5 in. The problem is I have 3 months out of the year where football is just taking me by, into a chokehold. And then I usually get fat, because I'm just doing whatever and eating whatever when I can and not sleeping. So that's almost like my off season. Yeah. So like, I can squeeze one in right after football, but if I want to be at my best, it's no more than 4 a year. And I think that's where, like, if you're going to take matches that are maybe silly or don't really make sense or you don't care about, you can squeeze more in. But why you really want to take a match that's silly or you don't care about, or you know what I mean? Like, why you want to do it?
Get paid.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want it. I'm not in this for money.
Yeah.
So I mean, everybody has different drives, and arm wrestling money is not life changing enough for me to make that a main motivator. Now, that's an interesting topic because a lot of people, that is their motivator. Like 100%. Like I'll pull anybody just as long as the money's right. Or I'll go, as long as, I can come away in the green, I'll pull, But for me, time is money. So like if you say, all right, I'm going to pay for your travel and give you $500 and it's going to cost me 3 days. It's going to cost me 1 day off of work. That's lost money, and a weekend away from my family or something I had to change. To me, my time is a little bit more valuable than the money you get paid for arm wrestling. Now, if they're throwing mega dollars out there, then that changes everything. And that's what WAL did. They came in and they said like, hey, we got 20 grand to the winner. Like, yeah, guys are going to be like, all right, I'm going to change my schedule,
Yeah.
But we're at least I'm not at that level for sure. Maybe a couple of guys are, but I know my draw is nothing near those guys and it never will be. I'm in full understanding of that. when you look at those pay-per-views, 95% of them were sold by Devin, you know?
Yes.
We're
Devin
just,
is money.
yes. Yeah. So there's a couple guys who sell them, and we got to be real about it. And that's why I choose to never become entitled when it comes to money, because I understand that my draw is not big enough.
The only, I mean, and that's very noble of you to really look at that, because, you know, I mean, you've been around the team sports. A lot of people want the ball. A lot of people think they're the star player when they're just not. You know, we're not throwing you the ball with 2 seconds to go, mate. And yeah, so a lot of people like I become real, because like I scream at people like, please buy the pay-per-view, because like, say King of the Table, I've been at the last King of the Tables, and I'm under no illusions that if pay-per-views aren't being sold, they're not going to lower the standard of arm wrestlers, are they? How can we cut costs? Well, we're getting Jake over from Australia. Well, let's just use a local guy. Is Jake really selling? You know what I mean? So I totally get it.
Yeah.
I know that the athletes are the stars. That's my job, to make the athletes bigger than what they are. So we sell pay-per-views so I can be at every event around the world.
It's business. It's cost benefit. It's overhead. It's managing these things. And I think a lot of people fail to see that. And the reason why I can't help but support Angan is I have just had so many experiences now with Angan where he has totally unintentionally proven his purity in his motivation. Like, he's not trying to prove it. He's just I've said he increases my pay every time I come. And I've said, like, you know, when he's stressed.
You are worth it, though, sorry to interrupt. You are worth it, though. Yes, your first one, it was a breakout one, but then you're becoming a champion, and more people are tuning in and hoping you're on the card. So while, yes, you are getting, it's great that he is recognizing it and paying you, but also with the self-doubt thing we talked about at the start of the podcast, you are also worth it, Paul. So there's both in there.
But think about it like I love the promotion, and I'm not doing it for the money. So you're covering my travel, you're covering my hotel, you give me 2 meals a day, right? I really can't ask for more. You don't and I said to Angan, like, when he gets all stressed out about the different things that he thinks might be affecting the pay-per-view or the pay-per-view sales being down, I'm like, cool. You don't even I would accept no money. Like, let me give that back, and let's just build this thing better, and then catch me on the flip side, you know? Like, it doesn't matter. But he is just so genuinely hell-bent that, like, no, you guys, I was an arm wrestler. We didn't have this. Arm wrestlers and the fans need more. So, you know, we all know that, like, those events could be 5 matches, and the same amount of people would tune in. But Angan's going to do 12, because Angan says the pullers need to get paid and the fans need to have more rather than less. And when a guy's just living that and then beating himself up over it to make it happen, I just can't, that's why it's like, I can't get behind any other promotion more. I can't.
Yeah. Just when we thought we couldn't love him anymore, he says he'll pull for free at East versus West to ensure the promotion growth. I challenge the world of arm wrestling to find someone that does not like this man. And if you find someone that does not like this man, you send him to the Aussie Arm Wrestler, and I'll take care of it.
Everybody got haters. If you don't have haters, you're doing something wrong.
Well, that's how we're going to boost your profile and make your main event status. You've got everyone loving you, but this side's empty, so you're lopsided. We'll get you some haters. White Wolf, you dead set legend, says absolutely loved Paul's match. Was off the chains, awesome. But I have to say that the most impressive match of the night for me was Ongabayev. Dude is on a totally different vibration level.
Yes, he is. Ongabayev. Like, I was standing there with Devin when Ongabayev with the second round, where they were kind of battling center table, and Ongabayev shot a hook. He shot inside and popped right back out before Arackley even noticed he did it, and loosened the strap. I mean, that's basically all he did. He shot in, popped out to loosen the strap, get a little bit more height. It happened so quick that like both Devin and I looked at that and was like, wow, what did we just see?
A masterclass. That's the only way I can describe that match. Was a genuine masterclass. Guys, start firing off some questions because we've only got 5 or so minutes because Evan McGowan will be going live very soon. And he's been a member for 13 months. Thank you very much. He's one of like 550. I'm truly honored. It doesn't come up on the screen, but he says, Paul is the last hope for the US. Match of the day.
Evan McGowan said that? I love you, Evan. Give me my Yeti back. Give me my Yeti back, Evan. I'm coming to Canada. Evan's awesome.
Give him his Yeti back, Evan. Be smart. So fire up some questions. We'll go for about five or so matches. I don't like Paul. He's far too nice. There you go. There's the old Evan back. There's the old Evan. Who do you want next?
Evan, you can have a Bud Light on me. You got a Bud Light on me, Evan.
Oh, yuck. I think we just might remove Paul from the podcast there.
That was geared towards Evan.
Yeah. We love it. What's the who do we want? Without giving away what your next matches are, who do you want to pull?
I mean, I would love to run it back with Rustam when he's healthy. I'd love to run it back with Sasha, but I'm not stupid enough to think I'm going to get an immediate rematch. But like those are two, and just because of, you know, not like I'm looking more like unfinished business type stuff. You know what I mean? I'm not looking towards anyone else or anything like that. I just kind of sit and wait for Angan to tell me what his thoughts are, and then we'll talk about it. You know, there were some other matches. I think Zoloev might be stacking up towards 85 now, so that might be gone off the table. There was Rustam's brother Ruslan was in the question. A couple guys from the AMC tournament. I don't know. You know, everybody's yelling for Bacho, but I don't think I don't know if Angan's going to. I think Angan most likely probably wants to bring him along a little bit more. Not to say he wouldn't. I mean, maybe he'll kill me. I don't know. I have no idea. The kid looks like a weirdo. You know,
it doesn't, for me, if I'm promoting, it doesn't make sense because I've got the guy leading the charge for the West. Everyone's watching him. He's competitive against the best. He's a champion or former champion now. He's a champion. And then you've got this X Factor rising star, 18 years old. You got to build his worth up.
That's and I think that's the approach. Is like the idea is what I would think if I'm the one running a promotion and I'm the one doing the business and I see a guy who's a freak weirdo, you know, who has mega potential. He's 18 years old. He just got his feet wet. I would, you know, if I'm a manager, I'm trying to develop his career, you know, and make sure he continues to have success. Not to say I'll beat him again. He might crush me. Who knows? I don't know. But there's still no data on this kid. He won the match. He won that match with such control that I couldn't pick that match apart and tell you how he pulls other than he's explosive. Like, I don't know if he's a top roller. I don't know if he's a hooker. I really don't even know. And there's no other data out there. There's no other data. We haven't seen him tested, you know, so maybe, I don't know. I mean, you talk about it with fighters, like moving them up to title fights too quick and things of that nature. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe Angan maybe he says Bacho. I don't know. Then, you know, if that's the case, then let's line it up, you know. But we'll see. We only spoke loosely, but I'm just really talking about other proposed matches in the past. So who knows? I know Zurab has mentioned interest in having a match. So I'm sure at some point in time, depending on how our trajectories go, whether it's this time or later, I think that'll probably be a crash course at some point.
There you go, Paul. Well, let's go to the polls. Paul versus Zurab. Let's ask the people who wins this one. The two MVPs of East versus West. We've got Lindiana Jones.
Sarah Latona, I would love to go back to the Monster Factory. Do we have a date set yet? And We'll see if I can.
I think there's 2 days. I think they're going September 16th
Ooh,
and
that's
December.
Football.
And December.
It would be December for me, Sarah, if I can swing it.
When is football season? So then, like, I might write it down. So then, when people are like, "Oh, why isn't Paul in at King of the Table or Monster Factory?" I can say,
it basically starts like the end of August games start in September, run to October, and then November if you get deep in the playoffs. It can run as late as like the first week of December, depending on playoff setup. But that's if you're really good. You got to be really good to play that long.
Yeah, you gotta make it. You gotta make it. Paul versus Zurab would be a banger. Good evening, everyone. Says Richard Jennings. If Paul beats Zurab, then Ongabayev next.
Listen, guys, Ongabayev is next level.
He's ridiculous.
I'm a realist. I can sit in bed and dream, maybe. But in order for me to have a chance against Ongabayev, he'd have to come down to 95. I wouldn't be chasing him up in weight. He's also huge, guys. He's tall. He's tall and he's long. He's just like that is.
I think that's what people forget.
You know what Ongabayev reminds me of? Like his transition game and his natural fluidity is like John's, but in like ×4 speed.
Yeah. It was just something. He just looked like a butterfly knife on, the way he just maneuvered around and gets the damage done. Like he didn't realize, like Zorro, you didn't realize you were cut 3 or 4 times, and then you finally go, holy crap! It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. I do like. Okay, so just got to get my dates right, because I think the world they do, mate. It's happening here in the comments. They want to see you there. Jeremiah wants to know what you thought of Prokopchik.
He's another one right there, man. Daniel's serious, man. I think the match was a little I think the match was kind of in the balance in the beginning when they went inside, because I do think that was like the best chance Doug had, and I think like Daniel straight faced him a little bit and then told him a little bit later that he was in trouble for a second. But Daniel is serious, man. He's serious. And like the stature just makes it that much more impressive. And then to think his left arm's even better is even scarier.
Well, how did the rest of he looks scary, and he's a brain surgeon, I think. He's some sort of surgeon.
He's an orthopedic surgeon. He's an
orthopedic surgeon. Smart as well. So that's some scary shit there. He'll play a villain in a horror movie.
Yeah, he's also like the director of sports in Moldova or something. Like he also has like high rank in like that political aspect. He's all like super weirdo, like gifted.
That is bloody ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Now we're slowly getting in there. When it all finished, it all settled down, the event was happening, and you're all in the hotel lobby or heading to your room or even breakfast the next day. What were Team West's energies like? Were there anyone that was just like, don't talk to me, that loss really hurt? Or is everyone just like, right, damn it, back to that bloody drawing board?
No, me, Rob, and Devin and Jody pretty much stayed in the lobby till about 6 a.m. drinking beer, having a good time. Yeah. I mean, Rob was in a really good headspace. Again, I'm like really excited for the future there, because that guy is.
I think he just out.
He could be
himself.
He could be so unbelievable. With the right people around him and the right level of motivation. He's like the only guy we have over here with like the genetics and ability of John. And we just got to get him. We got to keep him pointed in the right direction. And I'm the more I talk to Rob, the more I get to know him, the more I understand him. And, I think the more comfortable we both get with each other, I think it can be really good. I think we could really
starting at like the back of the pad as well. It was a different style of pulling. He started right at the back of the pad, almost took himself out before the start. So I thought it was a huge success, Rob Vision Jr.'s comeback for sure. Guys, any last questions? We're going to wrap up because Paul has given more than enough of his time, and we're very, very thankful for it. What Wool says, Paul Linn versus Solar Storm. The sun shuts the F up. That's what happens, mate. That's, everyone's in there. Daniel is the smallest guy I've ever seen with BDE. How tall's Sasho?
5'5".
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Yeah. Evan wants to know if you'll join his show straight after this one. They just drink beer and talk stuff.
Oh, I gotta do it. Well, Evan, give me a second. I'll message you. I gotta go eat my dinner, and then I'll get a beer and I'll join you. But give me
his show goes for about 5 hours. So
I'll join you for a small window of that.
Yeah. They all have a bit of fun. Troy Bouncefit, thank you very much. He says, sorry, just getting in, boys. It's one of my favorite things that's awesome about the arm wrestling community. They apologize for being late to a show. Like, I don't expect anyone to turn up to my show. I really don't. If one person turns up, we're on. We're going to have the time of our life.
Troy's one of my guys. That's my dude. That's Lethal Arms right there. He's repping Keystone State Championship coming up next month. So if you guys are from the Northeast or anywhere in the U.S., please come join us at the Keystone State Championship. If you need details, hit me up. It's a huge tournament. We usually have 400, 500 entries. It's an outdoor deal. It's almost like a festival. Troy actually owns like a bounce company. So he's going to bring like bounce houses and jungle gyms for the kids and shit. So it's going to be cool. We'll drink beer.
I've spoken to him a few times, and we throw some old text messages in the old Instagram. He's a good guy, Troy. I like Troy a lot. So thank you very much for the super chat, Troy. Really, really appreciate it, mate. And then Pseudonym, he's been a member for 13 months. I don't know why these super chats don't come up on my program. He says, support the arm wrestling community. Join Aussie's channel.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is there. Thank you very much, Pseudonym. Mate, the arm wrestling community has done more than enough for me. It's now for me to work even harder because, I mean, not only am I talking to Paul Linn, but Gabby Vasconcelos is in the chat. Like, stuff like this at times just blows my mind, the people that just tune in. Says, just got out and we love Gabby. Says, just wanted to say hi and tell Paul I was screaming to the screen of excitement at his match. Amazing performance. Proud fan here.
Thank you. We needed you there to get us on the win board. See you again soon.
Yeah, hopefully Gabby has a match. She's a river. Once again, someone else that loves helping out the Aussie Arm Wrestler channel, and that I will be forever grateful for because, you know what it's like, Paul. You try and do your own thing.
I think I just seen a training video Gabby put out on Instagram. Unreal.
Oh,
unreal.
Absolute beast. Quickly, what's happening in the future now? What's happening in the next 4 to 8 weeks for Paul Linn?
Rest, heal the pec. Arm wrestling specific stuff. Nothing with the chest. Heal that up. Probably take off of the table for a week or two until the pec heals. Once it feels better, we'll go back to double days and clean the diet up after I refueled after the cut. So I'm way back up now after all that candy and sugar. So we'll clean it up and then talk to Angan about, I guess, a July or August event.
And when was the last time you saw your own neck? Because coming into that, your traps.
I didn't know I had a neck.
Your traps were coming up, touching your earlobes every time. I thought you were just moving the camera closer and closer, like every time you turn onto the fix, but you're in the exact same spot. And I'm like, man, these traps are just getting out of control.
I love shrugs, baby. I love shrugs.
Oh, it's the only exercise where I feel strong at, and I don't even have any traps. Guys, please thank Lindiana Jones, the one and only Paul Linn, the White Orc, for joining us here when he's genuinely tired and right before his dinner. When people like this get hungry, you take notice and you get them off the screen ASAP so they can eat. Paul, as always, mate, I really appreciate it. Everyone that is watching, everyone that supports you, wishes you nothing but amazing success. And everyone still thinks, everyone was more talking about your effort than the scoreline, which for me, I think it's a huge win. You know, I hardly ever hear anyone say Paul lost that match. It's like, how good was that match? And for me, that's, you know, it does it on the scoreboard. It's not a win, but it was brilliant.
Listen, I said before I came into the match that the preparation was done. We're going to leave it on the table. I'm going to be at peace with the outcome. I'm going to stand by that, but almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, buddy. Almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
No, we'll get it. We'll get it. That's why we all love him. Guys, thank you all so much for supporting the Aussie Arm Wrestler. Head over to Paul Linn's YouTube channel. It literally is Paul Linn. He's changed the name. He's the leader of the Lethal Arms team out there. Do whatever you can. Paul gives his whole time. You'll see him on channels with 3 subscribers because I had 37 when I first met Paul Linn. So he does give his time. He's a genuine nice dude on and off the camera. Paul, always a pleasure. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Jake.